Breaking news, Ukraine pleading for the green light to fire U.S.-provided weapons deep inside Russia. The Ukrainian defense minister speaking just now on CNN, sending this urgent message.
We want to stop this terror against our cities. They're killing our citizens. That's why we want to deter them. We want to stop them.
Now, this comes as Ukraine says it sees.
Oh my God, this war is taking a turn for the worse. Ukraine video shows forces coming under fire during incursion in Russia. This war is not going to end anytime soon. As long as Putin is still in power in Russia, this war is not going to end anytime soon. So this is a new video, never before seen footage of Ukrainian soldiers inside Russian territory. Inside Russian territory. Nobody would have even mentioned this 2 years ago. But now it is happening. The war is now getting into Russia. The war is in Russia.
Seizing more territory inside Russia 3 weeks after a surprise incursion began.
Oh my God.
Fred Pleitgen is out front on the ground in Ukraine.
There's someone on the roof.
Never before seen footage of some of the first Ukrainian troops entering Russia.
This is the difference between brave men and weak men. These are soldiers who are in this army combat vehicle, sharing a cigarette among themselves because this might be the last cigarette they ever smoke. Some of us are weak. Some of us just complain about being maltreated, about not having this. These are brave men. These are brave men. If none of us men have ever been to war, we should never complain about life. Because life is beautiful. Because as long as you are free, you can make whatever you want of life if you just work hard.
Russian territory in early August. This video given exclusively to CNN by one of the assault units spearheading the charge. We just crossed the border, one soldier says, and then glory to Ukraine.
And this might be the end of them. This might be the last time they ever say slogan. What's it called? Glory to Ukraine.
Soldiers from the same unit also provided us this video showing them coming under fire as they advanced deeper into Russia. The incursion into Russia is one of Ukraine's main building blocks for what the country's president says is his plan to force Moscow to the negotiating table.
This is crazy.
I will present this plan to the President of the US. The success of this plan depends on him. Will they give what we have in this plan or not? Will we be free to use what we have in this plan?
The pressure is incredible. The pressure, not only on the Ukrainians, the pressure on America, the EU nations is incredible. What did you do? Do you give the go-ahead? Or do you try to play diplomacy?
Or not?
Or do you try
the
to play
Ukrainians
politics?
want a lot more U.S. weapons, and they want Washington to allow them to use those weapons to strike deep into Russian territory.
So they already have the weapons, but they need permission to use the weapon. Oh yeah, it's true, because those weapons are meant for defense, not to attack. Yeah, that's true.
So far, the Ukrainians are only allowed to use missiles like the ground-launched ATACMS to strike in Ukrainian areas occupied by Russia and Russian territory close to the border. Kiev's Air Force saying they recently used U.S.-provided guided bombs to take out bridges in the Kursk area.
Nice.
Ukraine's defense minister meeting U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin at the Pentagon to present a list of targets deeper inside Russia the Ukrainians want permission to hit.
During today's meeting, we will engage in detailed discussions about the situation on the front line, including our vision, objectives, and plans We'll also address Ukraine's critical needs, including necessary armaments, equipment, and training.
While Ukraine is advancing in some areas, they're on the back foot on the Eastern Front, with Russian troops making slow but steady progress. But Kyiv hopes a massive arms package from the U.S. could help them turn the tide, a senior Ukrainian official tells me in Kyiv.
Russia can be.
The amount of money that has been spent on this senseless war would have gone a long way to eradicate poverty. The amount of lives that have been lost because of this senseless war will forever. How can you even describe this? The amount of lives, the amount of young people that have lost their life, poor ones, because only the poor go to a war like this. Rich kids are out in Paris, in Washington, living life, while the poor ones are being sent on the front line to be slaughtered like chickens.
Be forced through a proper military strategy, through military strikes, through increasing the cost of war for the Russian Federation. Increasing the cost of war means that the war will be fought on Russian territory.
But as the war grinds on, the toll among Ukrainian civilians continues to rise. A massive missile strike on the northeastern city of Kharkiv on Friday, killing several people and wounding dozens. Still, Moscow lashing out at the U.S. and its allies over even just the talk of possibly lifting restrictions on the use of Western weapons.
It is an attempt to pretend that the West wants to avoid excessive escalation. But in
Sergei Lavrov, these people are evil. These people are evil. These guys, these old men.
In truth, this is not so. The West does not want to avoid escalation. The West, how we say in Russia, is looking for trouble.
Fred, how tough is the fight in the east right now for Ukraine?
Well, it's extremely tough for the Ukrainians in the east right now, Brianna. The Ukrainians are saying that the Russians there are making slow but steady progress, but those are some really tough battles that are going on there. The biggest problems that the Ukrainians have is not just that they're outgunned anymore, but they're also outmanned by the Russians. Some of the figures that we're hearing is 8-1 or even 10-1 in terms of Russian troops that are on the ground compared to Ukrainian troops that are on the ground. But there's a second big element to this as well, in that the Ukrainians are saying that they're getting hit by a lot of those Russian glide bombs that the Russians have been using with their Air Force recently, which allows them to use their jets much more effectively. And the Ukrainians say that is why they need those longer distance U.S. weapons and need to be allowed to use those to strike deeper into Russian territory to try and hit some of the airfields from which the Russian jets are taking off that are then attacking the Ukrainian positions with some really heavy munitions, Brianna.
All right, Fred Pleitgen live for us from Kyiv. Thank you. And out front now, retired Army Major General James Spider Marks. General Marks, Ukraine.
Come on, they should give them the go-ahead to use those weapons. They should give them the go-ahead to stop Russia before they wipe out all of Ukraine. They should allow them. They've been fighting this war for how many years now? The U.S. should give them the go-ahead to defend and protect their land and their civilians. This was a senseless war weighed upon them by Putin, and Russia should suffer. Russia should suffer. So the US government definitely should allow them to use those weapons to stop the enemy at their doorstep, rather than allowing them to come to their home. It's been how many years? 4 years? So Russia should be stopped in Russia. Come on, Biden. Sign that paper. Put pen to it and let Ukraine defend themselves. Slava Ukraine.